Chaver, we could taste Shabbos. We could taste Chanukah. It's almost Chanukah. B'siyata d'shmaya. 38 days until Chanukah. I thought it was 49 yesterday, and we're going to do like a little sphere action. So I guess we're in the middle of Sphira, building up towards Chanukah. We're going to start the cycle of Chesed Shabbat Chesed. But here we are. I think we're in the week of Gvura or Tzfiyaret. So Tefillah B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Dear God, rescue us from the toil of our hands. Nullify all of our depression, worries, and anxieties, particularly our worries concerning earning a living. Because of our many sins and evil desires, our heart is overcome with heaviness, depression, anxiety. With earning a living has become a difficult burden. By the way, we could all translate earning a living to wherever we're going through in our lives. As a result, the spirit of our heart has closed down so that its pulse cannot radiate properly through our limbs. As a result, our hands and limbs have grown heavy. And because of the heaviness, the spirit of our heart grows ever weaker until our depression leads to so much heaviness, weakness, and sealed heart that we are close to death, heaven forbid. There is but a step between me and death, is a pasuk. So how do we do this? We have to have the strength to bear the load. Master of the universe, says Rav Nassan, you know all this. You know our bitter or unsettled heart. The agony of our heart reaches to the heights of heaven. The strength to bear the load has collapsed. Woe is me, our mother, that you give birth to me. Woe to our spirit. Woe in bitterness. Hashem, have mercy on us. We have no idea how to begin to speak to you. We can't even open our mouths. How can we lift up our eyes? How can we serve you and speak to our master? Indeed, we have sinned against Hashem, the God of Israel. We did that which is evil in your eyes, like vinegar upon the teeth and like smoke in the eyes, so did we act. And we were like a murderer of our own spirit with no pity on ourselves or our passing days. You see at the Shema, there's more to the Tefillah. Oh, Avery in the tournament right now, in the Legends tournament, stealing Torah. Unbelievable. All right, let's fire it up. We wanted Chanukah Torah, and I think we're on Flame 16. And it's Rav Shlomo's Yortzeit, or was Rav Shlomo's Yortzeit. And it's just important to mention like a story, mamish, just a story and a teaching that we can take away practically for our lives. So in the chapter of Never Say No in Holy Brother, if you guys don't have this book, highly recommend. It says like this. This is the introduction to the chapter Never Say No. And this is a very deep concept. And mamish, this is the Chanukah Torah Baruchenzo. There is a saying that everything in the world is here for the service of God. Somebody once came to Reb Alexander and asked him, how can you serve God by being an atheist? Reb Alexander answered that you have to be an atheist when someone asks if you believe in God. If you believe in God, then deep down you'll think, I'll pray for you, I'll bless you, but I don't have to do anything because God will do it. So when someone asks a favor of you, my most beautiful friend says Rav Shlomo, you have to be a complete atheist because God won't do anything for him. You have to go and do it. Sometimes someone asks a favor which is very hard. We don't have the faintest idea what a favor the person is doing us by asking. Right? Can I go to your house for Shabbos? Can I do this? Can I do that? We don't even know what this means. At that very moment, God is opening up gates for us, giving us a chance to have the image of God on our face again. We have to wash and polish ourselves, but sometimes there's so much dirt that soap and water aren't enough. We have to rub and scratch the dirt off. Even that isn't enough sometimes. We have to go to a sauna. You have to do a mitzvah on the level of a sauna, burning hot, sweating it out. Mamash, b'siyata b'shmaya. So now to the story. Now to the story. It's a beautiful story. I was looking for a particular story in which someone wanted to, start her career in the music industry and and she was a huge Rav Shlomo fan, learning his tunes, learning the chords, the whole thing. And when she was starting to take off, when she was starting to go to like the open jazz nights or the open stand, I don't even know what you call it, the stand up the clubs, I don't know. The bars where you perform, right, make a name for yourself, she got really sick. So we're gonna read a similar story right now. 13 years ago, and he got sick, and Rav Shlomo came to her in the hospital, etc. It's a similar story. 13 years ago, my husband was scheduled to undergo serious surgery at Mount Sinai Hospital. By the way, these are stories in this book coming from people, firsthand stories. It's a crazy thing. The operation was considered so risky that doctors told us they couldn't guarantee he would survive it. But we had no recourse but to take the chance. During this time, our 16-year-old son had begun a sporadic telephone relationship with the Shlomo Karbach, whom he had never met but whose music he adored. By the way, this is part of the favor. Someone wants to get in touch with you, wants to speak to you, and there's no questions asked, but mamash, we speak to that yid. We speak to that yid for no other reason other than he wants to connect. We want to help out that yid. Not understanding what's going to turn into, what's the pneumius behind it. So Rav Shlomo, one of the busiest people in the world, he had time for a 16-year-old kid. Neither I, my husband, had ever made Rav Shlomo Karbach's acquaintance, but we knew that he had a warm and accessible heart to our son. On the eve of the operation, my son called Shlomo and asked for a favor. My father is undergoing surgery tomorrow and he loves your music. Would you come play for him a few minutes before he goes in? It would be my honor, said Rav Shlomo, a Greek instantly. Just tell me where and when. Because the operation was scheduled for 11 a.m., my son asked Shlomo to come at 10:30. Shlomo promised to be there, and our son proudly told his older siblings about this great coup. They were not impressed. You are so naive, they mocked him. Do you really think the famous Rav Shlomo Karbach is going to drop all of his plans and come running to Mount Sinai Hospital just because a young boy, whom he doesn't even know, has asked him? He'll never show up. You are wrong, my son vehemently insisted. You don't know what kind of a human being he is. He'll be there for sure. The next morning, my son strode up and down the hospital corridors, waiting impatiently for Shlomo's arrival. At 10:35, he had still not arrived, and a sad, dejected look began to replace the eager one on his face. His siblings began to taunt him rather cruelly. So where's the famous singing rabbi, they teased. Just then, Shlomo's celebrated figure burst into view as he breathlessly hurried down the corridor, guitar in hand. So sorry I'm late, he panted as he hurtled into the room. As he greeted my husband warmly, a nurse came by to announce that the surgery had been postponed 1 hour. Wonderful, exclaimed Shlomo. That will give us more time together. Before beginning his concert, however, Shlomo first honored the other two occupants in the hospital room, a black man and a Hispanic. He walked over to each of their beds, introduced himself, asked their names, inquired about their health, kibitzed around with them, and just made them feel great. Then he gently closed the door and played to my husband for 1 full hour. The risky, delicate operation was an unqualified success. We were deeply grateful for God's intervention and the surgeon's skill and expertise, but we also firmly believe that one of the major reasons my husband lived was because he went to surgery singing. So, Chevra, Rav Shlomo, and think about our lives practically. We're all so caught up. We're caught up with our own lives. We're busy, right? It's seemingly we have no room in our schedules. But Rav Shlomo, one of the holiest and busiest people out there at the time, made room for every single neshama, important, non-important, religious, non-religious, different ethnicities, different religions. He was there for them all. He was a singer of peace. He was a singer of love. In B'siyata D'Shmaya, we should just take away so many of the great aspects that he contained and bring it down into our lives and spread that love, that warmth, that openness, that care for ourselves, but also for every other individual. Chevra, and sometimes, just like we went over in the previous teaching, sometimes we just have to serve God through being an atheist, right? Not knowing what's it going to be, not waiting for the intervention, but rather God is giving us the opportunities, opening up gates for us to do it right here, right now. Right here, right now. Only us, only we have the ability to do it. Only we have the ability to be Miluim at 9:28 p.m. guarding. Only we, with the Shavisi Hashem and Negi Tamid in back of us. It's unbelievable. Ari, you live with that all day. So it's fired up. B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Chanukah,
Hanukkah. Shkoyach, Jack. Thank you.
Chanukah. Be well, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Be well. I love you, man.